They say history is written by the victors, but true legends are written in sweat, grease, and pure, unadulterated defiance. Imagine the early 1990s. The world of motorcycle racing was an ironclad club. It was a playground for corporate titans, Honda, Ducati, Yamaha, with billion-dollar R&D budgets and laboratories that looked like they belonged in NASA. But thousands of miles away, on a small island at the bottom of the world, a storm was brewing. In a humble, cluttered shed in Christchurch, New Zealand, a man named John Britten was about to tear the establishment apart. He didn't have a factory. He didn't have a team of aerodynamicists. He just had a vision and the audacity to believe that one man's hands could outperform the world's greatest machines. Today, in the world's garage, we are telling the story of the Britten V1000, the greatest motorcycle ever built by a single human being. John Britten wasn't your typical engineer. In fact, he was a property developer and an artist who suffered from dyslexia. Yet he saw mechanical structures in his mind with perfect clarity. While corporate giants were busy refining 50-year-old concepts, John started with a blank piece of paper. He didn't just build a bike. He reimagined the very physics of riding. In that backyard shed, the air wasn't filled with sterile laboratory silence. It was filled with the smell of sawdust and molten metal. John hand-carved the molds for his engine ports out of wood. He cast the engine casings in a simple kiln he built himself. He was a modern-day alchemist, a backyard wizard who was turning raw passion and New Zealand Kiwi ingenuity into a machine that looked like it had fallen from a starship. The Britten V1000 was a masterpiece of firsts that left the industry in a state of shock. Long before carbon fiber became a common buzzword in racing, John was using it as the foundation of his soul. He didn't just use it for fairings. He built the entire frame, the swing arm, the wheels, and even the front forks out of this space-age material. And let's talk about those forks. John ditched the traditional telescopic forks that every other manufacturer used. He designed a girder-style front suspension that was lighter, stiffer, and kept the bike's geometry perfect even under the most brutal braking. The V1000 didn't even have a frame in the traditional sense. The engine was the stressed member, meaning everything else, the seat, the suspension, the wheels, simply bolted directly to the motor. It was a skeletal, naked piece of art that was terrifyingly ahead of its time. The heart of this carbon exoskeleton sat a masterpiece, the 1,000 cubic centimeters 60-degree V-twin engine. John didn't buy a motor from a catalog. He built it from scratch. He designed it to be as narrow as possible to cut through the air like a knife. He even developed his own programmable fuel injection system and engine management software at a time when most factory bikes were still struggling with carburetors. The result was a beast that produced over 160 horsepower in a machine that weighed barely 138 kilograms. It had a power-to-weight ratio that made the factory Ducatis look like heavy luggage. The sound it made wasn't a standard exhaust note. It was a rhythmic, guttural thunder that signaled the arrival of a New Zealand storm. It was the sound of one man's heartbeat translated into mechanical energy. The ultimate test of John's madness came at the Daytona International Speedway in 1991 when the Britten team arrived with their pink and blue homemade bike. The paddock was filled with snickers and polite smiles. The corporate suits in their pristine leather jackets thought it was a cute hobby project. Then, the green flag dropped. The snickers turned into a deafening silence. The Britten V1000 didn't just compete, it hunted. On the high banks of Daytona, this backyard special was passing factory-backed Ducati 888s on the straights as if they were standing still. John's bike was faster, lighter, and more stable than anything the billion-dollar companies had produced. The world was watching a man in a sweater from a tiny island outthink, out-engineer, and outrace the entire global industry. It was the ultimate David versus Goliath moment in the history of internal combustion. The story of the Britten V1000 is a story of triumph, but it is also one of profound heartbreak. In 1995, at the peak of his creative powers and only 45 years old, John Britten passed away from an aggressive form of cancer. The world lost its greatest innovator far too soon. He left behind only 10 of these legendary machines, 10 pink and blue testaments to the power of human spirit. Today, these bikes are the holy grail for collectors, often valued at over $500,000 each, but you can't put a price on what they represent. They are a physical reminder that greatness doesn't require a boardroom, a corporate logo, or a massive budget. It requires the courage to trust your own hands and the vision to see what others cannot. John Britten's legacy isn't just a motorcycle. It's a message to every tinkerer, every dreamer, and every person sitting in a garage right now. He showed us that the only real limits are the ones we place on ourselves. His bike wasn't built in a sterile lab. It was built with soul, intuition, and a refusal to accept the status quo. Decades later, the V1000 still looks like it belongs in the year 2050. It remains a beacon of light for the independent spirit. John didn't just build a faster motorcycle. He built a bridge between what we are told is possible and what we can actually achieve if we just stop listening to the doubters. But now, I want to hear from you. What is your backyard project? What is that one idea you've been told is too crazy or too impossible to build? The world needs more people like John Britten. People who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty and challenge the giants. Tell me about your dreams and your builds in the comments below. I read every single one, because that's where the next legend starts. If this story of the thunder from down under moved you, smash that like button and subscribe to Chronicles. We are here to celebrate the machines, the makers, and the madness that keeps the world moving. As always, keep your chrome polished and your soul wild. See you on the road.